Well, I can't believe it, but here we are, video 8 already in the Old Hickory series. Today, we're going to move off of our fire, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of sticks and we're going to make a Roy Croft pack frame. It's a handy thing to know how to have, if you're out and your pack breaks. It's real simple, doesn't take very long to make, and you can carry quite a lot of stuff in it. So, we're going to start out. What you need to do, you need to get a couple of sticks. Now what I did was, whenever I'm out, especially shooting these videos, I don't like to use up any more resources than I have to. So I kind of found some pine that was already down. It wasn't rotting yet though. It's still in pretty decent shape. I guess it's just not as straight as I probably would get if I'm going to make this frame for real. You want some nice straight sticks. You probably even want to cut down some saplings and use it, especially if you're making something that you want to keep. I have a real nice Roy Croft pack frame that I already made, and I made it from saplings, and it's going to last quite a while. But like I said, I didn't want to cut down any trees to do this video, so I found some sticks that were already down. So what you're going to need is you're going to need two pieces. You can see, you don't need them too big around for what we're going to do. What you need is, the length is, you need them to come from right around your waist and stick up, maybe up past your head, or maybe just up past your back a little bit. This is actually probably just a little bit too long. I probably would have cut it off about here, but we're going to go for it for this. And you need two of those. And like I said, you want to get them as straight as you can. Now you're also going to need another one, once again, kind of get it straight. It's nice if it is a sapling for this one, because it's going to be a little more flexible. But what you do is you need it to stick out past your waist, at least like a fist. So let me stand up a little here. I see this. So this is what I have sticking out, and I can put a hand on each side. You want it to be sticking out past your waist. Okay, so we're going to work on this one first. What we need to do is take on the two ends, and we're going to do something that's going to look like our log cabin notch, but in the end it's not going to be like that. So we're going to come in probably about like the width of our hand, just like that's how much we had sticking out. So that's what we need to come in, and we're going to start, like I said, what looks like our log cabin notch. We're going to make a straight cut down about halfway in. But instead of making another notch, what we want to do is we want to cut this off the whole way to the end. So what we can do, now that we have that notch in there, one thing we could do is we could come up here, we could baton down through this, and it should pop out before your notch or at your notch. You may need to, basically you're just going to need to cut it with your knife to cut it out. If you can baton out a lot of it, that's good, but especially for this piece that I have here, it's not like real hard wood, so it's not that bad for me to just cut this out. So now we want to do that on both ends, and we want to keep it on the same side. We want to keep it on the same plane that we cut it the first one, because we want both of these to be facing forward when we do this. So once again, we're going to come in about a hand width, making sure that we know where our other side is. About halfway down. And we're going to baton out part here. So it's a little easier if you pick straighter sticks. Like I said, if I was going to do this for real, I would have picked some sticks that were a little straighter than this. So basically I'm just going to flatten this off. You can see so far hasn't really taken a whole lot of time here, so just flatten these off. Next, what we need to do is we do need to do a log cabin notch on this stick here. I'm probably going to pick the thicker end, and what I'm going to do is it's going to kind of ride in to the flat that we have there. So I'm going to want to make it as thick as my back support piece is going to be. Now you can see when I put that on there, it's going to be at kind of an angle too. So you may want to do that, but you can make it straight. And then once we get to it, we can angle the end off a little bit. You probably really don't know for sure what exactly the angle is going to be yet. So hopefully you can see I just put a little bit of an angle on this, not a whole lot. Remember, for our log cabin notch, if it's too wide to just pop out, go ahead and just do another one right down in the center, and you should be able to pop your log cabin notch out. There we go. Then we're just going to trim it up a little bit. And we're going to make another one in the other side. So what we want to do now, since I did angle this, I want to make sure the next one, if I'm going to angle it, that I'm angling it the right way. So as you can see, this is what we're going to have. We're going to have this is going across our back. These are going to go up towards our head, and they're going to be at a little bit of an angle, because you'll see once we get this one on, they're actually going to cross up here at the top. So I'm just going to mark this one out. I'm going to lay it out kind of here, just so I can get a little bit of an idea, general idea of how these are going to go. Actually had them on the wrong side there, so that's why it's good to check this out while you're making it, so you can make sure that you don't have to do it twice if you cut it wrong. Okay, so just gonna get a general idea here. I mean, things don't have to be perfect. Once we get it together, we're going to lash it up, so that's going to hold it. Once again, just cutting out our log cabin notch here. Like I said, I picked some already dead pine, so this actually doesn't take too long to cut up here. Once you get it out, then we're going to just kind of trim it up in there again. Once we start lashing, we'll see we may have to tweak the notches a little, so I'm not too worried right now that everything is going to be exact or not. So, okay, so here we go. We have our back support brace, and we have our two uprights. They're going to come out and be hooked here at the top, and we're going to lash all this together. Okay, before we do that, another thing we're going to need is 6 toggles. If you remember from our tent stakes and toggles video, we need to cut a little wedge in this. I'm going to do just one of them again, just in case, I don't know for what reason someone didn't watch all of my videos, but if you haven't, get out there and watch them. So just going to tap a 45 in here. Just going to trim it up just a little bit there, and there we go. We have a nice toggle. Now, like I said, you're going to need 6 of them. I already went ahead and did the notches in those, so we don't have to sit through that. Now, for when I lash this together, I'm going to move everything. I'm going to have to sit out front here to do that so you can see a little better. Before I do that, since we're close up here, I want to show you what I do to hold the toggles onto our pack frame, which we'll get to later, actually putting them on. So basically I just take and tie a knot in the end here. I have looped over a piece of number 36 bank line. Just loop it over, make a knot in the end. It's pretty simple. I mean, you could do what we did before. You could put the 2 fisherman knots in there if you want. For this, I think this works out just fine. Next, what we're going to do is take this and we're going to almost do like a prusik knot on this. We have our loop. We're going to go through it one time. But instead of coming back around here and going through, the first thing we're going to do is give this a twist here at the top. So you can see, just have a plain open loop, and then we're going to twist it. And now we're going to come back through here. So now we're going to pull this down tight, and you'll see this is a pretty strong knot. It's going to hold on there. It's going to keep our toggle on there. And then basically what we're going to do is on our side pieces, we're going to take this toggle around that and feed it through itself and just strap it down tight. Now your string, you'll see when I have the rest of them. Your string, you probably want a little bit shorter than what I have here. I just wanted to make sure that you'd be able to see that I tied that knot in that. So, okay, well, I think we have everything we need. So I'm going to move everything back. I'm going to move out front here and we'll start lashing this stuff together. Okay, hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, here we are down on the ground. I put my space blanket out. Hopefully it will help a little bit with you viewing the knots and the lashings that we're going to do. And also the ground was a little wet, so I put it down so I wasn't kneeling on the wet ground for this whole time. One thing I did do is I did go ahead and cut off some of the length on my uprights. It was just a little bit too long. I think once we get this done, you'll kind of be able to see about how long they should be. So the first thing I like to do is lay it out in front of me. You know, that way I can make sure that everything's fitting correctly and I can see where we're going to cross over at the top here. So once I make sure everything's okay that way, make sure I have, you know, a fist width sticking out of our bottom crossbar. The next thing that we're going to need is some number 9 or number 12 bank line. I think this is number 9, but number 12 works fine too. You don't really need anything really thick, so just kind of use what you have. 36 is all you have. You can untwist it and use the individual pieces, or you could just use, if you have a lot, you could just go ahead and use number 36. I like something a little smaller. That way also I have 2 different size cordage with me when I'm out. So what you need to do is we'll get about somewhere between, you know, 2 and 3 pulls of this, especially for the top. Now if you just already have cut pieces, I wouldn't go and cut them anymore, because once you're done you can just wrap it up and keep it on there. You want to keep it as whole as you can. There's no reason to cut it and have a bunch of small pieces when you can have one longer piece. So first thing I like to do is start up here at the top at this crossbar here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the underside, you know, and these are laying on top of each other, so we're going to take the one that was under, and we're going to tie what we call a timber hitch on here. So basically we're just, you know, kind of coming through a loop and then taking the short end that we have here and we're just twisting it around a couple times inside of that loop. And once we have it in, you want to keep a hold of it, the other end, while you're pulling this down tight until you get it down there tight. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is Try to keep these even at the top here, having the same length sticking out. So we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to start wrapping this around. We're going to wrap it probably about 4 or 5 times around this way. And then once we're done with that, we're going to wrap it 4 or 5 times around the other way. Now if you're finding that you can't pull this tight with your hands, what you can do is we'll get a little stick here and we'll wrap this up and we'll use this to pull. Now when we do the second set of wraps called frappings, we're going to use this stick because we want to get that nice and tight. But if you're having trouble right now getting this pulled nice and tight, go ahead and you can use that right now. So here we go. We have about 5 wraps around here. Now what we're going to do is switch and we're going to come in between here. We're going to do the same thing, anywhere from 4 to 6 wraps. Depends on how much cordage you have. If you're short on cordage, obviously you're not going to be able to wrap it as many times. But if you have a lot, it's going to be a little stronger lashing on there if you do a few more wraps. So there we have our wraps for our lashing. So now the next thing we're going to do is what we call frapping. What that is we've wrapped around this way and this way. Now we're going to take where those strings come in between here and we're going to wrap this way. So we're kind of doing this like in a 3-dimensional way. Now for the frappings, you're going to want to wrap up or get a stick and wrap up some of the cordage on there because you want to be able to pull this really nice and tight when you're doing it. So we're going to come around inside of here. And we're just going to keep pulling this tight. Every time we go one time around, then we're going to go ahead and pull it tight. As tight as we can with our frapping stick. Especially with this bank line, I mean, you're not going to break this bank line. If you have a number 9 or number 12 bank line, it's pretty strong. So don't worry about pulling down on this and getting it nice and tight. So you can see on this piece here I have quite a bit left over, and that's okay. I can keep frapping around, or if I'm done, if I think I have enough there, I can just go ahead and wrap it around the end here, just to keep it. Like I said, if you have a lot of cordage, you can go ahead and cut it off, but if you're limited, you're going to want to keep it as long as you can, so you're not going to want to go and waste it just because it's too long for this. Because you're going to see once we're done here, we have some components of this that we're going to take apart and we're going to use as part of our shelter when we go to set that up. So, just going to wrap this around here a couple more times just because I have the extra. And then once I'm done, what I'm going to do is just put a couple of half hitches in here to hold this. If you put 2 half hitches in this, it's going to hold this on there pretty tight. So I'm keeping some pressure on this while I'm getting a loop started here, then come through my half hitch, and then go ahead and just do a second one. You can use some other knots too. You can tie it off or whatever you need to do to get it up on there. Now you can see that down here at the bottom, my sticks kind of rotated a little bit. What we can do is hopefully we'll be able to turn them back to where we need them. What I should have done was, I guess, pay a bit more attention when I was wrapping this up and try to keep my sticks flat across, because remember, our crossbar is going to come and fit into these notches. So we're going to need our crossbar, we're going to need it to be flat on there. So, but like I said, you can work them around there a little bit. It's just a little easier if you pay attention to it while you're doing it from the very beginning. Okay, so we have our top done up. what I have here is I already have a couple more. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start on the two bottom ones here. It's pretty much the same thing. They're, none of these are square. They're kind of all at an angle. So I'm just going to do the same kind of lashing wrap and then frapping around it. So while I do these two, I'll probably just go ahead and speed the camera up a little bit until I get these done. Okay, so if you saw when I did this one, I didn't actually do the frapping turns. You probably could, but remember we have some notches cut in here, and we have these fitting pretty tight together, so you really don't have to do the frapping turns. We can just lash these together, and that'll still hold it on there pretty tight. Okay, so there we have our frame. Now on those second two, I did use a little less bank line on that. I only had about 2 pulls, but that's because I wasn't frapping them around. So something you'll just have to judge. Like I said, it's better to have a little extra than not enough, because you can always just keep wrapping it around. So then, if you remember, so we made some toggles. I think I actually said that we needed 6, but we really only needed 5. So you only need 5 toggles for this. So what we're going to do is, we have our bank line hooked onto our toggle. We're just going to take it and we're going to feed the toggle back through the loop. Now what you can do, you'll find if it's a little small around the thicker part of your sticks, you can move it up to the thinner part, and then once you put it through, just kind of slide it down. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to put 2 toggles on each side. Same way, just putting them through the loop that we have created with our bank line. And don't worry about placement right now. Once we do this, you'll see that, they slide up and down pretty easy, so we can move them around to where we need them. So after we get 2 on each side, then we're going to put 1 down here at the bottom. Okay, so this is what we have right now. We have our 2 upright sticks, our crossbar, and 5 toggles. Now what I'm going to do is show you how to use all this and turn it into a pack. So when you're heading out with your pack, you're going to need a tarp anyway, to build your shelter. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our tarp that we're going to use for our shelter, and that's going to be part of the pack. Now what I would do, this one here, I just kind of picked up at the surplus outlet, so it's not a real high quality tarp. But what I would recommend, that if you're using this tarp as your shelter, that you want to get a heavy duty tarp, and you probably don't want to get anything that's like nylon. If you can get canvas, that would be a strong material. If you get the nylon, I found when you're walking through the trees with this pack on, that you can actually get rips and snags in it. So you might not want to go with your nylon as part of your pack. Now if you have one and you want to take it, you can throw it in the pack, but you'll see for this part here, you might want to have a heavy duty tarp. So probably I would say an 8x10 at minimum, or an 8x8. This one here's a little shorter. I was just trying to get it so we could see it all in the camera here. So what we can do with this is going to be the pack part of our pack. It's going to be where we're going to store everything that we want to carry with us. So here are a few things. One thing, especially if you're out, is, this pack works out really nice in the wintertime or in the fall when you're out and it's chilly out and you're going to have your wool blankets with you, or even your down sleeping bags or whatever. It fits nicely in this pack. So what we're going to do is fold it up, and I'm just going to put it in the middle of the pack. Now I like to do it so that the wool blanket is what's on my back and presses against my back, and it gives me a little extra cushion. So before we put that down, we're going to put our other stuff in here, because you're going to see that that part is going to be the outside of our pack. So a couple things that you can put in there. I mean, here's my firebox. You can put that in there because you'll see once we do this, even if you put little things in there like your saw, they're not going to fall out because this pack is going to be all folded up and they're not going to come out. You have your extra water bottle you want to carry in there. Here's some paracord. Throw that in there. Now this is one thing. This is a nice little trick that I picked up at the Pathfinder school. Here's our billy pot that we're carrying with us. You know, this is our pot for cooking, collecting water, boiling water, whatever we need to do. So what we do is inside of that, put a nice dry tinder bundle. It's going to stay dry inside of our pack, and if we can't find anything while we're out, we know that we're going to get at least one good fire while we're out there. So that's what I carry inside of there. I just have a couple of rubber bands to hold the lid shut. So put that in there. Heck, you can even, here's a bagel that I didn't eat for breakfast. I might want to throw that in there. Now here, this is my jacket. This is my wool coat that usually I don't wear it when I'm actually hiking because I get hot and you don't want to have all your layers on while you're out hiking. So you want to have something when you get to wherever you're going to camp or wherever you're going to stop, you can pull your jacket out and put it on. So there's no reason for me to carry it outside of the pack, so I might as well just pack it right up inside here. And it works okay too, because if it's not you know, really cold and you're not going to have a wool blanket with you, you can put your pack on the side that's going to be towards your back. So, okay, I think that's all we're going to have in there for today. So I'm going to go ahead and just cover that up with my wool blanket. And then what we're going to do next is we're just going to fold this over. So we're going to fold this tarp over. And we're going to keep folding it over so that it's all closed up, all sealed up here. Then we're going to take our pack frame, and it doesn't really matter which side of this, the bottom that you put, whether you put you know, the outside towards your back or whether you put the inside towards your back, especially if you're using saplings, because they're going to bend a little bit and flex a little on your back. So, and with that wool blanket shoved in there, you're going to see that's going to kind of protrude out, and that's really what's going to be pressing on your back the most. So we're just going to put this down. So like I said, I have it all folded up here, where all the folds, my wool blanket's right here underneath all the folds. So that's the part I'm going to put down. And then that way you don't have anything on the outside here, like you don't have your folds where the water can get in, you know, if you're out and it rains or anything else. So next thing we have, piece of paracord. This is actually our ridge line that we used in our emergency shelter. So here's another part of our shelter that we are incorporating into our pack frame, and we don't have to carry, you know, extra stuff. We're going to actually just use part of our pack as part of our shelter. That's also true with our toggles here. We're going to use those to hook up our shelter too. So we have, you know, quite a bit of our shelter already here right in our pack. So what we're going to do is we're going to start up here. Let me move this a little bit just so you can see. We're going to go ahead and take one of these toggles here, and we're going to we already have our bowline knot in the end of this, so we're just going to take this around, then we're going to feed this end through. So as of right now, I mean, we haven't even had to modify our ridge line. So basically we have it tied on to this toggle here. So we're going to take our pack, and I would also recommend, even when you're putting it down, if you see how this folds down, I would make sure that you put that facing down, even on the inside. That way water won't come in and lay in here and get inside of your pack. So we're going to turn this over this way, so all that's down in there. And what we're going to do is just take our ridge line, and we're going to go and just loop it around the toggle. I know that's hard to see with the pack on there. Do it back over onto this side here, maybe you can see. So basically we're just going to come around and just wrap right around our toggle. Now we're just going to go back and forth, you know, moving up. We have our 5 toggles on here. We're just going to keep wrapping this around. And you can pull it tight while you're going. Make sure you don't want your pack loose and flopping around while you're carrying it. So go ahead and pull them tight. And as you can see, we're not tying them off on the toggles, we're just wrapping around. So when we have to take this off, it's going to be pretty easy to get off. And the other thing is, I mean, your ridge line is just about the right length for doing this. You can see there, I have quite a few wraps around this. I should hold on there pretty tight. Then I'm just going to come off here. We're just going to go ahead and tie a little half hitch in this. Okay, there we go. Now we have everything in our pack, hooked onto our pack. So the next thing you're going to need is a length of rope. Let's say anywhere from, maybe 15 to 20 feet long should do you. You'll know once you put it on. And it's the same way, even if it's too long, you can kind of wrap it around yourself and then you'll still have a longer piece of rope. If you can go out and get some good climbing rope and use for this, that's good, because then you're going to have a good climbing rope with you also while you're doing this. This I just picked up at the hardware store. It's just some nylon blend poly rope, but that's just what I had. So okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this rope. What we're going to do is we're just going to come up here, we're going to take the midway point of our rope, we're going to feed it through, and we're going to come back through that part here. I'm just going to cinch that down. And that's what we're going to have to make our shoulder straps out of. So to stand up here, I think we should still be able to see this. Actually, before I do that, I think I'm going to move the camera a little bit because I don't think you'll be able to see me putting this pack up there. So just hang on and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's what we have so far. We have our rope going through the top here. We made a little loop in it, and now we're going to go ahead and just put this on our back. You can see what we're going to do then is we're going to take these shoulder straps and we're going to put them down under that piece that we left sticking out on our crossbar. So, and what I'm going to do, if you remember from our emergency shelter, how we went and tied that loop in here, that quick release loop. So we're going to tie another one of these because you're going to want to make sure, if you have to, that you can get this off. You don't want to be fiddling around trying to untie knots. If you fell down or some other kind of emergency, fell through the ice, fell in the water, you need to get this pack off quick, then you're not going to want to have to mess around with this. So once we do that, we're going to go ahead and just tie some half hitches in here. One might hold it if you want. You can tie two. That's just going to all depend on how quick that you think you might want to get this off, because if you put two half hitches in it, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get this off. You're going to need to do on that one, but then if you only have one in there, we're just going to pull that and we're going to let it go, and it's just going to drop right off of our backs. Okay, so you can see this was wasn't really a too difficult thing to make. You can use it if your pack breaks, or like I said, even if you're out winter camping. This works out nice. It's a really easy way to carry your blankets and your sleeping bags. I've always had them rolled up on the top of my pack or underneath my pack, and they always seem to get caught on stuff, flop around. This is a nice compact thing. You can see everything's in there, but you can also see that the tarp is on the outside, and that's why I didn't recommend you using a nylon tarp, and you might want to get a heavy duty one. Now when I go, I'm going to have a ground tarp anyway, so what I do is I use this one as my ground tarp, and then I just have my shelter tarp inside of my pack. You could fit a lot of stuff in here. You can see this wasn't even an 8x10 tarp, and yet I still fit a lot of stuff in there and still have a lot of room folding it over. So there you go. That's it. Roy Croft pack frame. Hopefully you enjoyed watching, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks. Okay, before we go, I didn't really have anything new to tell you today at the end of the video here, so I wanted to take this time to let you know that this is actually going to be the second to last video I do in the Old Hickory series. I have other ideas for other videos. I'm going to start working on those series, and I do have just the final video of the Old Hickory series. It's going to be a couple weeks, maybe two and a half weeks until I can get that out. I don't want to give anything away, but I will tell you, I'm kind of just combining everything that we've already done in our Old Hickory videos, and we're going to have one, special little video where we're going to use all those skills. So, until then, I hope you hang around, subscribe to the channel, so you can get the updates, so you know when that video comes out, and I'll see you then. Okay, happy bushcrafting.